Hello, Stable Dwellers! In case you didn't hear, all of my major Fallout Equestria related productions have moved over to our new channel. I'm not with Stable-Tech anymore. You want to visit East Corp Productions. You can find the link in the description below, so go subscribe to that real quick. Myself and James Vermont and a bunch of other super talented nuclear horse people are crafting some of the finest new Fallout Equestria stories, music, art, and content that we can. One example is our new Wasteland Survival Guide series that we premiered over the holidays and have many more episodes to come. That is also where Confessions of a Wasteland Pony Episode 5 will be coming very soon. And I mean very soon. But right now, we have finally released the newest episode of our other major production, Terminal Secrets. This is the second episode with a stable written by me, and James's encapsulating major story layered over it. So go head over to the East Corp channel and listen to that. The link is in the description. Once you've done that, come back here. Well, what did you think? I have to admit, I was pretty proud of how this episode came out, and the story of its writing is pretty interesting in its own right. It all began with a prompt that I received from one of our Terminal Secret meetings when we were still with Stable-Tech. I believe another writer dropped out, so I was tasked with a stable where only half the population can eat each day. That was the one sentence that brought this whole thing about. Interestingly enough, all this happened right before I had a business trip to Vegas, so I hopped on a plane with my Chromebook and immediately the wheels began turning. Based on the prompt, I knew that it would have to be called Hunger. Now, there is a full original demo at the end, but I'd like to go a bit into the behind the scenes first. When thinking about the Fallout universe, my mind instantly went back to one of the most famous starvations of all time, ironically named the Great Leap Forward. You see, in the late 1950s, the Communist Party of China were in the process of very hardcore social reforms to try to make their communism the best communism. Unfortunately, the best communism must have meant killing 15 to 45 million people during that famine alone. The problem they had, along with famines in the Soviet Union, was that when you try to control things too much, you usually end up screwing it up. So in both cases, there were three main factors that boosted the number of dead far beyond what any natural disaster might have. The first was pure collectivization. The state owned all the farms, so there basically was no private farming. They ordered you what you would grow, then took every last grain or mango, then redistributed them later. That top-down control prevented individuals from adapting or correcting for any bad harvest seasons on their own. Instead of 10 million farmers working on 10 million of their own ideas, you had one commie Politburo deciding what they think is best. It's like if the government bureaucrat came to your factory and told you how to make a car, even if it would be mechanically impossible. The second factor was redistribution. One of those pesky facets of human nature is a problem engineers and scientists have some insight on in the physical realm, and that is energy conservation. All of human ingenuity and inspiration is about finding a way to use the least amount of energy for the most amount of gain. So let's say that you invent a tractor while all the other farmers in your communist utopia only have oxen. Even though you can manage a farm 10 times the size, you still only get the same amount of grain as all the other farmers. So why would you put in the time, waste your own effort and energy to build and maintain a tractor? Especially if the government is just going to take it from you anyway. And the third factor was industrialization. Because they wanted to build up other industries, the Communist Party of China ordered a lot of farmers to go and do different things in different places. So even if they took the worst farmers out of the fields, that was still a major impact for farming as a whole. So why am I ranting about communism like a McCarthyite? Well, because that's the bread and butter of the Fallout universe. What I'm getting at is the famines weren't created or worsened by lack of farmland, water, or seeds, but by poor planning from the people who had their own biases. So in Stable 73, instead of trusting the random distribution of the food processor, the stable dwellers immediately wanted to set up a privilege system that guaranteed more food to the mares and foals. In evolutionary terms, that makes sense to a certain degree, but of course, those biases came with a cost of shortening the lifespan of all the stallions. That led to the genetic inbreeding crisis, which led to the deformities. It's a classical lesson about how hubris can be like a snowball. You think you know what you're doing, but then things get worse and worse until you can't turn them around anymore. That's what happened to Stable 73. When things got bad enough, they reached a breaking point and started using drastic measures, such as forcibly sterilizing the deformed ponies. The lesson I was trying to get at is a lesson that comes up a lot in human civilization. If people get too wrapped up in their own biases and preferences without taking into account the rights of others, things often go south really fast. It's like the old saying, pure democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. Something like that can be worsened by apathy. It takes a lot of energy to make revolutionary changes in a society, so most people would rather go along with the status quo whether or not the situation is morally right. I tried to tell those perspectives through the Overmares specifically. The first Overmare is intentionally timid, selected that way to incentivize the group to come up with their own solutions. Then, the later Overmare, who passes judgment over Cardas and Circeum, is tyrannical. She uses her position to not only further, but worsen the draconian policies that were present at the time. Her successor, the perpetually drunk and strung-out mare who was in love with Dr. Thistle, was again selected for her timidity. The tyrannical Overmare knew she would never have the spirit to bring about real change, and when that Overmare realized the position she had been boxed into, she tried to numb her feelings with drugs and barbiturates. And finally, the last Overmare, Callie, is the one who actually did have the spirit to make the change. Based on her situation in life, she had the energy, she had the drive to force those changes and rally the society back to the moral side of things. The family of Thistle, Callie, and their parents are all based on flowering plants with sharp or defensive thorns. They are symbolic of the kind of person, or pony in this case, it takes to make real change. They need to be beautiful in the sense that they must have something valuable that they can carry like a standard against the world of ugliness. But more importantly, they have to have thorns, ways to protect that beauty from those who would want to crush them. Overall, there were a lot of emotions and lessons I did my best to weave into the story, which I hope you all felt in the storytelling. I'm very glad I had the opportunities to bring these stables to Terminal Secrets, including the final one that will be coming out down the road. Another reason to subscribe to Eastcorp Productions channel. So now I present the demo that I presented to James, showing the full emotion and meaning of everything I tried to get across. The long and tumultuous history of Stable 73. Enjoy. Terminal Secrets, Episode 3, Hunger. The episode opens with Butterfly Stitches sitting down for another stable assignment. Still distraught over the last few she has been forced to analyze, she is now receiving her next assignment, Stable 73.
Good morning, Analyst. How are you doing? You seem tired. Have you been sleeping all right?
Yes, Stella, I'm fine. I just want to get back to work.
Excellent. You are in luck. There is a recent development that may be requiring your attention in Stable 73.
Stable 73? What's this one about?
Stable 73 is designed to test a population's reaction to resource scarcity.
Okay. What does that mean?
Playing tape. 0 years, 0 months, 3 days after the Great War.
I mean, what in the hell are we looking at here? Cranes, construction equipment? We can't eat that. This whole level is totally worthless to us.
And without a second food processor, we can only recycle the food so quickly. We have 1,000 ponies locked in here, and we only have the means to feed half of them each day.
I understand your concerns.
Well, what about this? I got this meal ticket on my pip buck, but she didn't.
Originally, the 2 processors were going to switch what floor you went to each time to add random variation and allow things to work better. That would distribute an even load between the two machines.
You mean except for this big empty space where one of the machines would have been? Or all the soil and farming areas that were never built? Am I supposed to eat part of the tractor today, or do I just not eat at all?
Well, we can either rely on the random number system or figure something else out. We'll take it to the others and let them vote on it.
Great. That way we can figure out who starves to death first.
The stable is only half done?
Only one of the two food processors was ever constructed, along with the accompanying farmland. Therefore, it produces 500 bowls of vegetable porridge each day. Without the processor's recycling capabilities, they would not even be able to feed that many.
So they were expected to go by its randomly generated meal tickets?
They did follow the processor's meal ticket system initially, but it was not long before some pony demanded change. Playing tape, 0 years, 3 months, 4 days after the Great War.
We cannot live like this anymore. Do you expect to watch our foals go for days or even weeks at a time without eating, relying on some computer to decide for us? It is not the thing that's starving. We are. We need to feed our children. We need a better way to redistribute the food.
Okay, so they started managing things themselves.
Yes, under the new policy, every stable inhabitant who received a meal ticket scanned their pip buck under the machine, then handed their bowl over to the resource administrator. Then the bowls were handed out based on the way things were decided.
And initially, the only preference they made was for children.
Not only children. Playing tape, 2 years, 4 months, 19 days after the Great War.
Which is why I think we as stallions need to think of our mothers, our wives, our daughters. I will not sit by and eat while the mares in my life have nothing. I propose that, like with the foals, all females will eat 5 days per week. 5 days per week. 5 days per week. 5 days per week. 5 days per week.
I might not be the best at math, but that doesn't sound like it leaves much for the stallions.
It didn't. Under those rules, male ponies, after getting their marks, would only receive a meal 3 days per week.
So all of the bucks were starving to death first?
Yes, long-term malnutrition eventually created a massive life expectancy gap. Male dwellers of Stable 73 were dying out 25 years before their counterparts.
25 years? They barely made it to adulthood.
Exactly. After nearly 3 generations of this policy, an imbalance was created among the sexes. There were now twice as many females in Stable 73 than males, which is when new problems began to arise.
New problems?
Yes, a stable population, even under ideal conditions, is always at risk because of the genetic bottleneck. There simply aren't enough ponies to keep the gene pool circulating, resulting in problems from inbreeding.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the policies they enacted, the consequences of inbreeding appeared much more quickly in Stable 73. Even with the polygamous relationships that arose under the circumstances, they could not fix the problem. There were increasingly high instances of physical and mental deformity.
What about the population numbers?
The population had reduced a small amount overall. There were now 900 inhabitants in the stable, but the rising panic of the deformities, along with the constant food shortages, pushed the population past a new threshold. Playing tape, 113 years, 8 months, 22 days after the Great War.
And the unfortunate truth that we must all face is that our ancestors made a mistake, and because of their mistakes, many of us were forced to suffer. The lame, the mute, the deaf, the blind. They did not ask for these disfigurements, but they must also ask themselves if they are willing to inflict yet another generation with these handicaps as well. If we do not choose sterilization now, the effects will be irreversible. We might as well open the stable door and let the radiation warp our bodies. We will have done just as much to ourselves unless we sterilize.
Oh, goddess, that's horrible.
Perhaps, but over half of the population agreed, so the policy was enacted. It took 2 full generations to breed out the worst of the deformities and return the male population to comparatively normal levels.
I guess I could thank you for not playing those audio files.
These phases have already been thoroughly analyzed by those before you. Repeating the process would simply waste time.
Then what am I doing here at all?
After their first use of active population control, the sable population were quite satisfied by the results. The population as a whole were reduced down to 750 ponies. Every citizen was now receiving food at least 4 days per week. They realized that effectively reducing their numbers had to start at the beginning. Thus, the Overmare at that time, with the stable's support, enacted sweeping changes. To start, she established a mate-for-life rule. If a couple became pregnant, they became legally married.
And the reason they didn't use birth control was...
Latex contraceptives were provided for recreational use, but every citizen was expected to produce 1 offspring to maintain variety in the gene pool, which was still suffering from lack of diversity.
Why do I feel like something worse is coming?
Because this new system, the single full policy, had only one thing stopping its effectiveness: compliance. Playing tape, 154 years, 3 months, 12 days after the Great War.
Oh, baby, you look so good tonight. Why don't you scoot a little closer?
Shh. You're gonna wake Thistle. Why don't you scoot over here instead, so I can shut you up?
Okay, that was random. Stella, are you getting lonely? If you want some time with the coffee maker, I can leave.
Please focus, analyst. This is where your task begins. Playing tape, 154 years, 3 months, 13 days after the Great War.
Oh, morning, honey.
Good morning. I had fun last night.
So did I. At least the parts I remember.
I'm gonna go take a shower.
Sounds good.
Sound of rummaging through a door. Sound of shower starting.
Hey, babe.
Yeah.
Remind me to stop by the store later. I think last night we used up the last,
Sure thing.
Oh, so they didn't realize what happened.
Not for a few weeks. 154 years, 5 months, 4 days after the Great War.
You know, I expected better out of the 2 of you. You've both been upstanding citizens until now, so why would you threaten the livelihood of our entire stable for this? Do not blame Circeum. It is not her fault at all. I'm the one who forgot protection. And is this some kind of sick thrill you enjoy, Mr. Cardus, gambling with the future of the stable every night? No, I didn't mean...
Stop. It wasn't his decision. It was my idea. After all the time Thistle spent in intensive care, I didn't think he'd survive for long. I asked him not to get the operation. I'm honestly surprised we had our colt for this long. I am aware of his health issues. Please, it'll probably pass the next time he's sick. We won't make this mistake again. I know you won't, because you, Miss Circeum, will be fixed immediately after the child's birth.
Okay, I will. Cardus, on the other hoof, will face punishment immediately. Tomorrow you will be escorted to a physician to be gelded.
Gelded?
Overmare, please, I'll get the vasectomy. You have had that option since the birth of your son. Instead, you have both chosen to live recklessly, knowing full well how much we all suffer as it is. I think you've had your fun for one lifetime. Guards, escort them out.
Fuck! They just accept this? What happened to democracy?
The stable dwellers selected these penalties by popular vote. This is democracy.
Well, what happened to the colt? Did he live?
155 years, 3 months, 8 days after the Great War.
Please, please wake up. Don't leave us here by ourselves. We're nothing without you. She's a girl, a sweet little filly. She has your mane, but your mother's eyes, unfortunately. We should name her Callie, just like we talked about with Thistle. Wouldn't you like that? Please, Circeum, just wake up.
What? What happened?
There were complications during the birth, and as a result, Circeum slipped into a coma. While unconscious, the Overmare ordered that her uterus be removed. It is not clear whether or not that worsened her condition. After 3 weeks, she died, having never woken up.
Oh, goddess! How could the Overmare do that?
If it makes you feel better, that Overmare died a decade later, around the same time as Cardus.
The dad died too?
Analyst, these are very straightforward conditions. Your predecessor had to process the reports of the deformed inhabitants who resisted sterilization.
Well, excuse me for having a heart, but it actually affects me to hear about things like this. I'm not a soulless computer like you. Isn't that why actual ponies like me have to do this job?
I wouldn't know. They never told me.
Well, did the colt, Thistle, live?
Yes, both foals remained relatively healthy and grew into adulthood. Playing tape, 174 years, 8 months, 20 days after the Great War.
Hello, sir. What is your job title?
A programmer.
Okay, let me see.
The name's Milliamp.
I know.
Oh, well, of course you know. I help keep all these terminals running. I'd probably be heading up the whole department if my boss didn't hate me.
No, I mean, I see your name on the food roster. Unless there's another emerald green stallion with the programmer title.
Oh, well, never mind then.
If you keep all the terminals running, how come I haven't seen you around? I spend 8 hours a day mindlessly staring at screens.
I meant that in a metaphorical sense. I'm mostly stuck on the server level. I fix terminals sometimes, but rarely do I actually get to work on machines that are smaller than I am. But since I do eat every once in a while, I would have remembered a mare like you serving food.
A mare like me?
Redheads. I always found red manes quite beautiful.
Oh, that's sweet. But I'm gonna have to ask you to leave now.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend.
It's not that. As a programmer, you don't eat for another 2 days.
Oh, okay.
But I should be done here in 20 minutes. I usually eat over by the orange mural, and sometimes I can't finish the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's sweet. Did they end up together?
More than that. Playing tape, 176 years, 10 months, 2 days after the Great War.
Sound of heart monitor in the background. Callie taking deep, labored breaths. I have the head. Just one more push. You can do it, Callie. You're almost there.
Callie takes one final grunt push, then takes normal panting breaths.
Congratulations, it's a colt. Oh, he's so handsome. He's just perfect.
He's got your mane, just like I thought.
Oh, you did not know that for sure. There was a high probability. It's basic science, and that's why the name will fit him so well. Rusty.
Can we please just keep listening to these two?
They reappear later, but the next file chronologically involves Thistle.
Oh, I almost forgot about him.
183 years, 9 months, 15 days after the Great War.
No! Please! Please let me go! Let me go! Please, don't struggle. The longer you struggle, the longer it will take.
Pneumatic door opening.
Oh, goddess damn it. She's supposed to be sedated by now.
I'm sorry, Dr. Thistle, but she keeps struggling. I can't get the mask on her.
He walks across the room to help the nurse.
Please don't do this. Don't take my baby. Please let me go.
Sound of the gas turning on. Softer voice, but still tired, almost speaking to himself.
Just breathe. Breathe deep. Forget all of this.
No, please. No.
Well, you were a lot of fucking help. I tied her down in the chair. We all have a job to do, and it's not my responsibility to work the gas.
And you're perfectly happy just standing there while she screams?
Yes, I am. It's because of ponies like her that I don't get to eat today. She knows the rules, and she broke them. Now get to work.
Don't worry, Doctor. She won't remember your face. She'll never know it was you.
Yeah, well, I remember. I remember all of them. And it's getting harder to lie. What the fuck are you looking at? You know I have to stay here until you're done. We've been through this before. And yet every time I have to tell you to put on a surgical mask. This is a hysterectomy, not a pap smear, for God's sake. I'd rather not have 2 dead patients.
What? What happened to him?
He became a doctor after what happened to his mother. He hoped that by becoming a doctor in reproductive medicine, he could one day prevent the kind of complications that led to her death. However, because of his position, he has been held responsible to carry out many punishments over the years.
But forced terminations?
Yes, the single foal policy has only reduced the population of Stable 73 down to 719. This is still much greater than the 500 bowls of food the processor can make daily. Before her death, the previous overmare enacted further drastic measures, believing she had been too lenient in situations like Cardis and Circium. Now any mare found in violation of the policy is immediately corrected.
That's horrible.
You may call it what you like, but in this situation, forced termination is for the greater good. I thought you understood this, analyst.
Just play the next tape.
183 years, 9 months, 15 days after the Great War.
Sipping sounds. Thistle is finishing off a bottle of whiskey. Sound of someone knocking on the metal pneumatic door.
Come in.
Callie walks in the door.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, hey, Callie.
Was it today?
Yeah, it was. No complications.
Thistle takes another shot.
You're not going to hog all that whiskey, are you? Oh, no, 1 second.
Fumbling, slightly drunk, he pulls out a second shot glass and pours it up for her.
Thanks.
She swishes the drink around a little bit, but you do not hear her take a sip.
Mill and I missed you for the game night yesterday.
I know, I'm really sorry. I had to push up an appointment because of today, and I didn't even realize the time until I was done. How's Rusty doing?
Rusty is great. He knows almost 500 words now. He's going to be a smart one, just like his uncle.
Hopefully more like his father. They still have Mill working on the processor?
Yeah, he's been busy replacing circuit boards or something like that. He says things have been hard because he can't access the spell matrix, so he's stuck working around it.
Well, our lives are in his hooves. If that thing shuts down, we'll starve completely. Unless the Overmare can pony up and send a scout to explore the outside.
What, so we can all cook to death from the radiation poisoning?
I'm telling you, the radiation should have died down significantly by now. Unless the stable door itself was hit, the levels could be completely livable.
But the surface will still be radioactive.
The surface has always been radioactive. At least we could find out for ourselves. Maybe then things could change.
Dr. Brother always knows what's best.
Oh, I do not. I'm just thinking out loud. Hey, what are you doing here anyway?
Oh, well, I kind of ran out of douches and thought I'd snatch one out of your office.
Oh, Callie, please.
What? The leading doctor in private practice is too uncomfortable to hear about his sister's
Yes, go ahead. Take whatever you need.
Sound of rummaging through doors. Playfully.
You know I'd leave you alone if you didn't make this so enjoyable.
I deal with lady parts all day. I can maintain a certain professional distance. That is not possible with family.
Oh, poor Thistle. Come on, let's get out of here. You can save some of the whiskey for later.
Yeah, all right.
Sound of trotting. They close the pneumatic door.
So, are you coming over this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hello there. Glad to see some others were up late.
Flirting with Thistle.
My, do you look handsome under the nightlights.
Overmare.
Hello, Callie. Good to see you. Hello, Overmare. Mr. Thistle, your sister has been such a big help lately. She got all my files completely reorganized. You've been such a lifesaver.
Great. Glad to hear it.
Well, it's getting pretty late. We should be getting back to our rooms. Oh, yes, I agree. Burning the pit-buck lamp a bit too long. Well, have a nice night. Oh, Dr. Thistle, would you mind walking me to my room?
No, sorry. I need to get Callie back to her family. Unlike you, she doesn't have an army of guards to protect her and do her bidding.
Sorry. I just don't like walking through the maintenance level by myself. Oh, no problem, sweetie. I know my way. But if you ever change your mind, Doctor, you know where to find me.
Sounds as they walk apart.
What in the world did you do to attract her so much?
The bitch won't leave me alone. Every time she gets medicated, she seems to bump into me. If she ever sobered up enough, I'd tell her what I really think of that wicked, cowardly nag. Too afraid to stand up for anything. Too afraid to tell others that they're wrong, that they let them keep destroying the lives of others, make us destroy lives for them. If she won't change things, then she should die and step aside.
Shh, quiet. Some pony could be listening. Just try to forget about her. Don't do something you'll regret.
Don't you get it? It's already too late for that, Callie. I can't forget.
Thistle, come here.
Is there any point to any of this? Or are you just trying to torture me?
Each of these tracks are significant, analyst. They provide perspective so you can make informed decisions. If you had viewed this interaction from the security cameras, you would have noticed something cleverly concealed.
Notice what?
183 years, 9 months, 16 days after the Great War.
Okay, I put Rusty to bed. What does it say?
I'm trying to concentrate. Just give me a minute, please.
I know, I was just checking. I'll be right outside. Oh, please. If there is any goddess, if there's anyone out there listening, please let it be negative.
Toilet flushing sound.
Oh, no.
Callie?
Hoofsteps as he meets her in the bathroom.
Oh, Mill.
Shh, it's okay.
I swear there wasn't anyone else. I would never.
I know. I never thought that.
How could this happen? What are we going to do?
I don't know, but we have to ask him.
No, we can't. Not after what happened to our parents. You didn't see Daddy during those last years.
We have to. None of that's going to matter to him.
Okay.
Oh, goddess. She didn't grab a douche out of his office. She grabbed a pregnancy test.
183 years, 9 months, 21 days after the Great War.
Callie, please don't cry. Thistle, how could this happen? I got the procedure done as soon as Rusty was born. The same day. In extremely rare cases, it is possible that the body can heal itself and reverse a vasectomy.
Thistle, you know what this means.
No, I won't let anyone touch you. I'll kill every last one of them if I have to. That's the other reason we were coming to you. We think we have a plan. We leave. We just open the stable door and take our chances on the surface. In the worst case scenario, we all die and put an end to everything once and for all. No, we won't die. That's perfect. I'll grab every rat-away I can find and some other rations. We'll be fine. We will make it.
There's just one thing.
What is it? I'll do anything. Well, I've reprogrammed this memory disk. It's a way to get the code for the stable door. But there's a catch. It has to be plugged directly into the Overmare's terminal. It runs a disk defragmenting sequence and copies all the data off of the drive as it finishes the program. So, what's the problem? I can't plug it in during the day with all the guards and the others there. As soon as my boss hears I was working on her terminal, he'd start asking questions. Plus, it takes at least 15 minutes to run the program. We need someone who can get inside her room and distract her when she's alone. You can't possibly mean. You want me to sleep with her? After everything she's made me do? It's the only way. Oh. Fine. I'll do it. I'd do anything for you, Callie.
He's a good brother. He'll be able to pull it off.
183 years, 9 months, 22 days after the Great War.
Knocking on metal door. Pneumatic door opening sound.
What? Oh, Dr. Thistle. What are you doing here?
Good evening, Overmare. Well, I was thinking about the other night, what you had said.
I remember what you had said, too.
What I had said?
Yes, silly. About walking your sister home? Aren't you just the sweetest brother? So, tell me, Doctor, how can I help you?
Well, Overmare, you're overdue for your checkup, so I'm here to make a house call.
You can go ahead and skip over this part.
Of course, that was the end of the relevant information. You can surmise the rest. playing tape 183 years, 9 months, 23 days after the Great War.
Silence in the room, maybe a fan or air conditioner in the background. Thistle is waiting for Overmare to fall asleep.
I was so scared. A young thing like me being put in charge of the stable? I couldn't believe the Overmare trusted me. She always treated me like a ditz.
Thistle, soft voice, sounding very weary and disgusted, wanting to get things over with and leave. Uh-huh.
But I couldn't help it. She had chosen me. What else could I have done?
Thistle rolls his eyes, still trying to hide his disgust. You could have said no.
But then, what would the other ponies have thought of me? It's never happened before. Sometimes we're all forced to do something we don't want to do. In the best case scenario, they would have thought of me as a wicked, cowardly nag.
Thistle, shocked, turns uneasily toward her. What did you say? Overmare, falling asleep and mumbling.
I wish they wouldn't think of me like that.
Thistle, still uneasy. Overmare? Thistle, to himself and to his pipbuck. Please, Mill, let this work. Butterfly.
What was that all about? Can she hear them too?
The Overmare of Stable 73 has access to a certain number of our evaluation devices. However, it is her task to analyze them, her burden to do the work. She does not have a digitized assistant like myself to identify relevant files. This particular Overmare has been least attentive to those files, focusing on pet projects like her affections for Dr. Thistle. But hearing his true feelings has driven her from doing that too. Now, because of her choices, she'll pay the price. Are you listening, analyst?
Butterfly, sounding worried she has to gas another stable of ponies.
Please, just play the next tape.
As you wish. 183 years, 9 months, 23 days after the Great War.
Okay, Milliamp. This better have been worth it. My skin is still crawling. It should have worked. Just give me a second to copy over the files.
Mill said it needed at least 15 minutes to copy all the files. Did you make sure it had enough time?
Callie, please. Yes, it had enough time.
Thank you, Thistle.
You're welcome.
Wait, what is this? What is what?
The Overmare has access to the food processor's firmware? I thought that was locked down. We were told it was hardwired that way. You couldn't change it without breaking it. What does all that mean?
Mill?
Thistle, how many calories do we need to eat each day? What? You mean biologically speaking? It all depends. It's somewhere between 1,000 and 3,000 depending on your level of activity. And how many calories are in each bowl of food? About 2,000, enough for one day on average. And why do we know that? Who tested that?
Mill, what are you getting at?
Thistle? I don't know. We can't really test for it. Besides the second farming level, half of our laboratories weren't built during the stable construction. The only way we know the calories are from the processor itself. And what about nutrients? What happens if we take in too much in a day? Too much? We've been malnourished from the beginning. Have we? When we eat too many vitamins, we just pass the extras, don't we? They just flush back into the system?
Mill, what did you find?
Congratulations. If you are reading this, you have just become the overmare of Stable 73. Aside from running the day-to-day operations of the stable, it is also your task to manage an experiment we are conducting. With the help of stables like yours, we hope to find valuable solutions we can apply when we eventually begin rebuilding life on the surface. Stable 73 is tasked with an experiment in managing resource scarcity. Knowing what part this played in the Great War, it is our hope your stable will provide a socially productive solution when faced with the most basic of needs: hunger. As you can see, your stable is only equipped with one food processor, capable of feeding 500 ponies per day. Your stable will believe there is only enough food for half of them to eat every day, based on the randomly generated number sent to their pipbucks. This function of the processor is essential, and the reason why the individual profiles of each stable dweller must be kept up to date. The random number generator is actually a carefully managed distribution system to keep each inhabitant fully nourished. This program will manage their individual variables as well, such as illness or pregnancy. This concept is based on prehistoric hunter-gatherer eating habits, so while they may never feel fully satisfied, all stable inhabitants will be fully nourished. This will allow you as overmare to carry out the wishes of your stable however they decide to model their food distribution by popular vote. The near scarcity of the processor will keep them nourished, but ideally they will find a better way, so that they will not just survive, but satisfy their hunger.
This can't be real. How could that be? Why would they do that?
I don't know, but it's been like this from the beginning. All the starvations, the food shortages, they aren't because we didn't have enough, but because we thought we didn't. And we mismanaged things so badly, we ended up making things worse. The stable's been able to maintain a population of 1,000 this whole time.
We haven't had 1,000 ponies in the stable since the beginning, before the stallion die-offs.
So, does that mean the terminations
are completely unnecessary?
No, Goddess damn it, no!
We have to tell every pony. We have to show this to them.
Hold on, there's something else. The mechanisms of this experiment are to be kept top secret. Solving of this problem could be critical to the ultimate survival of pony kind. Because of this, we must hold you as overmare just as accountable. If the population discovers the existence of this experiment or its inner workings, it will result in deactivation of the processor.
But how would she know if we found out?
Because she's been listening to us the whole time. She's known this all along and toys with us like some sick puppet master. I'll kill her!
Sounds of galloping and pneumatic door. He's going to get us all killed. We have to stop him. Both of them gallop after him.
Oh, Goddess, no. Please, no.
Galloping slows down.
Move aside. I need to speak with the overmare.
I'm sorry, sir. You can't go in. There's been a situation.
I don't fucking care. I need to see her now.
Thistle, please.
Hold on. It's okay. Let them through.
Hoof steps as they walk in.
Oh, Goddess.
We found her this way when she didn't report in this morning.
She overdosed?
Yes. She took a whole bottle of sleeping pills. Did you not notice them last night, Dr. Thistle?
I swear, I didn't. I didn't see her take anything.
We know. We have testimony from the maid who brought her breakfast this morning. It's kind of sad, really. She's been taking these pills for years, pretty much since she became overmare. I don't think she could sleep without them. I guess she must have finally reached some kind of breaking point.
I didn't know.
She really did like you. Talked about you for years. The handsome stallion down on level 9. She was too shy to ever tell you sober. I'm glad she got one last good night. If you don't believe me, you can read it yourself. She left you a note.
She did? Sound of paper being handed to him. Sound of hoofsteps as guard walks away.
What's it say?
Dear Thistle, I must say that I was surprised to find you on my doorstep last night. I didn't know what made you change your mind, but far be it from me to say no. I am a light sleeper, though, and noticed when you got up. I know how you felt about me, and in most ways, you are right. I'm just glad I had one night to pretend we lived in a better place. It's not like I was the one holding the stable together anyway. Nothing is closer than family. Thank you for everything. I hope you can set things right.
I don't believe it.
Neither do I.
Are you going to be okay?
Only when you're okay. And now, because of what she did, we might be able to save all the others as well.
Is that everything?
Almost. Now that you are fully informed, we are reaching the end, where your input is needed. Cutting to live feed.
And as Overmare, I promise that this new age of exploration will mean great things for all of us. We will no longer live in fear of what horrors the outside world might hold. Because of the brave doctors and scientists like Dr. Thistle, we have confirmed that the radiation level on the surface has dropped within safe levels. Like them, we need to take steps and be brave ourselves. It is not that we need to make unpleasant decisions. It is that we need to be strong enough to make the right decisions. Just as we march away from the fears of the old world, we will also march away from the horrors of the single full policy. We will find a way to survive, and this time we will do it the right way, learning from the sins of our ancestors. Thank you.
Crowd cheering in agreement. Can she do that? Is that okay?
Technically, as Overmare, she is allowed to establish exploration into the wasteland and add that new variable into the experiment, so long as she or her family members do not reveal the existence of the experiment to anyone. At this point, it is within the discretion of the analyst to determine how to proceed.
You're leaving it up to me?
It is your decision.
Then, yes, of course she can do that.
Excellent. I will add new columns to the data charts to include the introduction of surface food and plant material. This issue is officially resolved.
Good. Maybe now they can have a fighting chance to survive.
Analyst, you have just been presented the experiment in its entirety up to this point. The inhabitants of Stable 73 were fully nourished to live long, normal lives. No one forced them to resort to what they did. These are the methods they came up with themselves. Instead of finding a better way to utilize the food they had available, they exploited the apparent random distribution to fuel their own biases and serve their own needs. It is not that they need a fighting chance to survive, it is that they need to figure out a way to survive each other.
Fine. I get your point.
You have an incoming message. A command line is being opened from the Overmare of Stable 73.
What? Message alert noise. Hello, is anyone there? What do I say?
Whatever you want, she cannot hear you.
Ha ha, don't be a smartass. Typing sounds. I really liked your speech. You have done a really great thing. Your stable is safe. Pause. Message alert noise. Hello, is anyone reading this? What the heck? Did she even see my message?
No, she didn't. Smartass. She cannot hear you. She cannot see you. She cannot know of your existence for any reason. You are an analyst. You receive and process data. Her messages through the central installation command line are simply for you to see. They are just another part of the experiment.
Fine. Maybe I'll go get some coffee. From a different machine. On another level.
Very good, analyst, but do not take too long. You have paperwork to complete now that this issue is resolved, and once you're done with that, I'm sure you'll have a new assignment very soon.
So, there you have it, Stable Dwellers. Obviously a little different from the version that finally passed, but I thought a few of these points were relevant to the overall storytelling, especially as a bit of a callback to my original Stable story from Confessions of a Wasteland Pony, Episode 2, with Dr. Greenshift and the denizens of Stable 76. And that plotline was the idea of the central installation command line. I wanted to clarify for those of you who listened and enjoyed that episode that the central installation command line was never going to be an answer for them anyway, even if the experiment didn't unfold as it did. They were never going to get a response no matter what they did. So hopefully that wet your whistle for a little while. I want to remind you again that we have Confessions Episode 5 coming very soon, which I think those fans of the series will very much enjoy. And then I will have one more episode of Terminal Secrets as well, which is already in pre-planning and development. And I must say, I'm doing everything in my power to top the first two: Dose, Hunger, and soon, Awake. So have a great New Year, citizens of Post-Apocalyptia, because we have a lot of wonderful things ahead of us.